pandemic continues and our children continue to live these uncertain lives at home and at school, are we expecting there to be long-term psychological consequences? Does the lengthier amount of time that this goes make it worse or deeper for our children?
I assume that one's coming to me. Is that
why not?
We don't know. And of course, that's a frustrating answer to this from a psychologist, but we don't have a lot of data to say that the length that this goes is necessarily going to make it worse for our kids. In some ways, the longer that this is going, we're finding ways to adapt, and hopefully children are finding ways to stay engaged in things that are meaningful to them, and that it's becoming less acute, right? In the beginning, March, April, everything was very acute, everything was very scary. And now that acute level is coming down, and we're learning how to adapt and to live through this. So the longer it goes, I don't think we necessarily have evidence that it's going to be worse for our kids. If we're getting into the 3, 4, 5 year mark, but I'm hopeful that's not what we're looking at. And it's not even so much that would be correlated with anything in particular, but it would just vastly change our outcome, right? We just don't know. We don't have the research around it. But I do think that right now we can't control it. We can't plan for how long this is going to be. And I think that those are kind of mental games that we sometimes find ourselves getting into. Okay, well, if I can do this for 3 more months, or I can do this for 6 more months. And ultimately, we're trying to do that to make ourselves feel better, but it's a losing battle because we just don't know. We're trying to control. And I think that's the thing, that anxiety and control are like two sides of the same coin. When we feel anxious and nervous about something, we try to control it, and we can't use that right now. And control is always an illusion, right? We don't know that we're going to get in our car and go somewhere and come back safely. Anything can happen, but usually it's fine. And so we just live with that. And I think right now we're not able to do that. And that's really tough. So what I would encourage people when they start to feel really nervous about that, are there going to be long-term consequences? Look at the other side of it. Could things be okay, right? Maybe we're going to get through this and everything will be fine. Kind of balance the scales on both sides of it, that we don't know, but let's try to focus in that we don't have research that it's definitely going to be something that is incredibly harmful for our kids either.
I'm going to add to that. We all have heard of the term post-traumatic stress disorder. Well, in the last 10 years or more, there's also been a new body of research called post-traumatic growth. And what they're finding is that people who do go through, bona fide traumatic events, oftentimes certainly will go through a stress period and may experience anxiety, depression during their normal healing period from whatever event it was that happened. But that the long-term piece of it is that they grow, find different meaning in life, and that their skill sets are changed, and their whole sense of outlook on life is different, better, and changed. So if you think about that, that's just a more hopeful way too, and a more positive way to look at the stress that our kids and we are going through, and that we may emerge as different and better